My name is Guylene Berry from l'Agence Berry. You're watching BBN Community TV Show. And today we're here with Miss Beverly that is going to share something that I think if you are still working or you're planning on building a brighter future for you and your family, you should listen to her because she has a lot of great things to share. According to her experience that she shared with me earlier, I think I should bring this to you as well because I learned a lot from her. And Miss Beverly here, she is going to share some great information with you, especially if you're thinking about retirement and a brighter future for you and your family. Miss Beverly, welcome to BBN Community Show.
Thank you, Guylene, for inviting me.
Oh, when I heard your speech, I'm like, I should invite her to my TV show because you have a lot to share. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. Your name is Beverly, last name?
Cordner, Beverly Cordner.
Wonderful. So, you were talking earlier about planning for retirement, and you shared some notes that I think you can definitely help our viewers to do better and also understanding where they are in life.
So earlier I was doing a speech where I talked about my path to retirement. One of the things that I shared was that I had to come up with a change management plan. A plan that was supposed to help me to know when I would be able to reach those retirement goals and how I would be able to reach those goals. The plan had three parts. The first part was figuring out finances.
Yes.
Those are so important. How much money would I need to enable me to continue living comfortably in retirement? Most people think about that, but they don't have a plan towards what they're going to do to ensure that that happens. One of the things that I did was I started thinking about it when I turned 60. Because I realized that most people start thinking about retirement around that time frame. This was a few years ago when I turned 60.
A few years ago you
A
turned
few
60?
years ago.
She looks so young. That is unbelievable. I'd like to know what you do to stay so young and energetic. You are what? I think that should be another show with Miss Beverly. Yes, tell us more.
So I started thinking about it when I was 60. About what should I do?
If you're watching the show right now and you'd like to know some of the resources that are available for parents, I would encourage you to go and visit the Children's Services Council of Broward County's website. It's cscbroward.org, cscbroward.org, or you can call 211 this month. For more information, if you're a parent and you'd like to know some of the resources that are available, please go on this website, cscbroward.org, or call 211. Thank you. And keep watching the show. We have some more information and resources for you.
What should I do? And when I started thinking about the finances, I was lucky enough that I worked for a company where we had a 401k. And I was looking at my account, checking my investments, checking my balances. Our company also sponsored financial webinars specifically tailored to people who were thinking about retirement. I took advantage of those seminars, took notes. The other thing that I did was that our company made sure that we had access to a financial advisor in case we wanted to talk more personally one-on-one with someone about our own needs. I also took advantage of that. So here's the stuff that you have to do.
Yes.
Take note of all of the assets that you have, all of your sources of income.
Okay.
If you have a 401k, that's great. If you have a pension, that's awesome. But some people these days don't have either one. So you need to look at all of your sources of income and determine how you can get that income to stretch into the future. The best way to do that is by making wise investments. And if you don't already have a financial advisor, you should most definitely think about having one who can specifically talk to you, not what your best friend did or what your other family member did, who can specifically talk to you about your needs, your income right now, and the expenses that you would have to pay in the future. Because remember, the money that you have right now needs to stretch into your future. So you can't just look at the rate of inflation now and the cost of goods and services now. You also have to think about what will they cost in the future, because your income has to be able to meet and exceed those expenses in the future. Sitting down with someone from now and talking to someone, especially if you have a 4 or 5 year horizon for retirement, that's the best way to do it, and keep talking to that person.
Wonderful. It's good to check out to see what are your assets, if I'm taking notes, make some wise investments, and what are your needs for the future. And there is something that you have mentioned earlier, to figure out not just you, what you're going to need for the future, but the people that are living with you.
Correct.
What they need for their future.
Correct.
So tell us more about that.
So my husband was an integral part of this plan. If you're married and if you have kids who are living in your house, you also need to take into account whether or not your spouse has a plan as well, whether or not your spouse has sources of income, and whether or not you are able to pool your resources together to ensure that you can pay for future expenses for both of you. If you have children who are dependent on you, who will be dependent on you, or grandchildren who will be dependent on you in the future, you need to take those costs into account as well. Because you want to make sure that whatever your income is, and whatever your income will be in the future, that any expenses that you know will be coming up in the future can be taken care of. When you talk to that financial advisor, he or she will probably ask you all these types of questions. Even if they don't, you need to make sure that you mention it to them. Oh, I have 2 grandchildren that I will probably be looking after when I retire on a full-time basis, or even on a part-time basis, and I might have to financially assist them. Or I have a sick relative. That's another thing that eats into retirees' accounts. Health. If you have enough money invested and you have enough money saved to take into account any illnesses that could occur in the future, that's also a great plus. I know that most seniors, when they reach the age of 65, they have Medicare insurance. Medicare insurance doesn't pay for everything. Sometimes you will have to make sure that you have additional money set aside to pay for things that they may not pay for. So we have to think about all of these things when you're coming up with a plan. When you're putting all those sources of income together and all the expenses that you might have in the future, you need to think about not just you, but your spouse, your children, your grandchildren, anybody else in your family sphere who you might be supporting in the future.
So, there are 3 components that I think that Ms. Beverly had covered for us today on BBN Community Show. Make sure that you have a plan for your retirement and have your assets available, and also how you need to plan with the other people in your life, not just for yourself, by yourself, but for the other people that are in your life. So I think this is very important. Now, Ms. Beverly, what about time? Because if you used to work full time and now you're working no time.
No time.
So how do you manage your time so you don't fall into not having enough the things to do and you might become depressed because you have too much time in your hands?
That's a very important question, Guylene.
Thank you.
Many people plan their retirement, they plan their finances, but they don't consider what happens with their free time. I've also heard people tell me, I'm going to work forever because I don't know what I'm going to do if I retire. I'm not going to have anything to do. I'm just going to sit around bored. You have to come up with a plan for that as well. I have always volunteered with certain nonprofit organizations. Even before I retired, I was volunteering with 2 organizations. I knew that after I retired, I would still continue working with those organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I would probably be spending more time in those organizations. However, I knew that I would probably expand my volunteering spirit. I did exactly that. I found yet another organization to volunteer with. And I also volunteer at my church. There are some church ministries that really need retired people in order for those ministries to work properly.
Uh-huh.
So I volunteer now for 3 organizations plus the ministry at church, making it 4. I try to plan my day so that in the mornings I am busy. That's when my brain is still active. I'm able to attend a lot of different meetings and talk to different people about different committees and different ideas. I usually work at those volunteer organizations probably until about 2 to 2:30 in the afternoon. The rest of the afternoon, I try to leave it for myself and my husband.
Self-care.
Because you need that time for yourself. When you retire, it doesn't mean that you run full tilt into a 9-10 hour work day with your volunteer organizations. You need to take time out of those organizations, away from them, and spend time on you. Travel somewhere with your spouse.
Yeah.
Do something different that you've never done before, even if it's in your own area. Go to a different museum that you've never been to.
Yes.
Go to lunch with another retiree.
I'm not retired, and I'd like to go to lunch with you, Miss Beverly.
Or go to lunch with people who are still working at a company where you retired from.
Interesting. And have you noticed that she mentioned self-care, and she also include her husband in her plan? So I would like for you to elaborate a little more about relationships while you are retired, because sometimes people don't think that elderlies need to focus on their relationships, their marital relationships.
Oh, that is so important, because now you have even more time that you can spend with your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Some people may be wondering, if your spouse is also retired like mine is, what am I going to do with that guy around 24 hours a day? Guess what? You all have certain interests that are common, and then you all may have other interests that are not so common. What my husband and I do is we spend time together doing things like Tai Chi classes. Great for seniors because it helps with balance and flexibility. We go to Tai Chi classes. We walk 3 to 4 miles every other day. And while we're walking, we're talking, and we're outside in nature, and it's causing the juices of our minds to flow. You're keeping the body in shape and you're keeping the mind in shape.
Interesting.
And once a week we try to go out somewhere different. Just to plan. Sometimes it's unplanned. But sometimes we plan, let's go to this particular place and let's just see what it's like there. Let's have lunch in a place that we haven't been to before. And that way you get a chance to bond with the person who you've been bonding with for years, but now you have more time to sit and talk with that person. And sometimes he might like different TV shows than I do. So there are certain parts of the day where he's in one room looking at his shows, I'm in another room looking at my own shows. And there are times when he'll come and tell me stories about what he's seen, and I will tell him stories about what I've seen. So we're educating each other on shows.
And there is something you just mentioned about Tai Chi. I am an Ageless Grace instructor, and I just love it when I enter the room and the seniors, they are so welcoming to the training that I shared with them. And having you here telling us about how beneficial it is to stay active and doing exercises for for your mental health and your physical health, and also sharing the time with your husband and understanding that she doesn't that you don't have to watch the same thing that your husband is watching, or he does not have to watch the same thing that you're watching. To me, someone should learn from this, because sometimes we can become so controlling, whether it's a guy or a lady,
right?
And thinking that, you know, we are both in the house, we should watch the same thing. And I think people should understand that although you've been married probably for many
40
years, 40
years,
40 years, you still are enjoying spending time with him and understanding boundaries. So that's another thing that I would like to talk to you about, because sometimes as an elderly, you probably have grandchildren, and your children probably think that you should watch over their children. So how do you set up boundaries? Or, to me, life is all about adjusting to new seasons and new space and new happenings in our lives. So how do you adjust your boundaries now that you're retired?
That's an excellent question.
Thank you.
We have 2 daughters. However, they have not yet graced us with any grandchildren. I live vicariously through friends of mine who are grandparents. I look at what they are doing with their grandchildren, how they help to take care of them. And I know that certain boundaries have to be set, because remember, even though we're retired, we still need our own time, our personal time, or as my older daughter puts it, me time. So even though it's important for you to spend time with the grandchildren, you have to actually lay down a line and tell your children, after this particular hour, on this particular night, it's me time, you have to come and pick up your grandchildren, your children or my grandchildren. On weekends, most people I know say, hey, it's the weekend time. I don't need to have my kids with me. I can just drop them off at grandma or grandpa, and they drop them off for the whole weekend, and parents don't see them again until late Sunday night. Boundaries need to be set. If you're dropping off the children, you need to make sure you pick them up at a certain time on Sunday, not nearly midnight Sunday night. Much earlier on in the day on Sunday, so the grandparents can still get a chance to unwind. Because remember, children are full of energy. We're getting older. We can't run after them as much as we used to be able to when we were younger. And after they're gone, you're thinking, I'm so tired. You need that time to rest and unwind. So put those boundaries up and tell your children that they need to make sure that they give you enough time to unwind. They can't just keep the children with you the entire time.
You hear? So it is very important that if you are a child, give your parents a break, because they need some time also to better show up for you. And that will also give them an opportunity to live longer and healthier. So give them some time to take a break.
That's true.
Yes.
That's very true.
Wow.
There's one other thing I wanted to talk about
Please.
in terms of relationships with people who are retired. You need to keep relationships up with people who you haven't talked to in a long time. Friends, other family members who you don't see often. A lot of my family members are overseas. WhatsApp is a God-saver. That's how I communicate with them. And I keep in touch with them because I know I'm so far away, but now I have more time that I can actually try to call them, and I set up a little schedule. Today I'm going to call Uncle so-and-so and Auntie this. Tomorrow I'm going to call cousin this and nephew here. So I need to keep in touch with them, and they also keep in touch with me so I can know what's going on in their life. You need to keep those social connections open.
Yes.
And since you have more time when you're retired, You should be able to carve out some time during your day to keep in touch with your auntie, your nenen, your daddy, your uncle, other extended family members who you don't normally see. That is so important. The other thing that my husband and I do is that we travel every few months. Go to see a different place. So we travel to a different state, or we might travel to a different country. You get to learn a different culture, you get to see people doing other things, and you get to learn a lot as well.
Yes.
And you can impart that knowledge when you come back to your children and grandchildren.
And be exposed to other cultures.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly.
Different cultures can definitely open your horizon and your view in life and your perspective. So I commend you on that. I love traveling myself.
Me
So,
too.
You know, I hope that you're learning something new from Miss Beverly here today on our BBN Community Show. But one thing, I would really appreciate it if you could watch us, spend some time understanding who you are, subscribe to our channel, and also share it with other people that could benefit from it. And remember, you can find us on our YouTube channel. It's G Berry Network, on one word, on YouTube. And you can also continue to support the work that we are doing in the community. And BBN Community Show, we are here to bring resources for you to continue to be this beautiful person that God wants you to be. However, since we are here with Miss Beverly, I would like for you to leave us with some takeaways from this talk so the people that are watching, including myself, can continue to shine our light.
Thank you, Guylene.
Pleasure.
3 takeaways. Number 1, plan for your retirement years in advance. Plan wisely. Talk to a financial advisor. Know your financial circumstances now and in the future. That's point 1. Point 2, take time to ensure that you know what you're going to do after you retire. Whether you're going to volunteer in several organizations, whether you're going to help with your grandchildren, whatever it is that you decide that you're going to do, plan it beforehand. And the third thing that you need to remember from this conversation is that after you retire, self-care is even more important. Remember, our bodies are aging. And we need to make sure that while we keep ourselves busy and we keep ourselves engaged in our communities, we also need to take care of ourselves, our mental health and our physical health.
Wow. You hear that? So please practice greatness every day. And thank you so much. And
Thank you,
you're
Guylene.
amazing. So if you're watching, remember to share. And I thank you.
Thank you very
everything that
much
you
for
do in the
having me.
community. Yes. Thank you for watching BBN Community Show. Follow us, subscribe to our channel, G Berry Network, one word, on YouTube or on Instagram. Thank you all. Yes, hi.
Hi, my name is Kashia Arnu, and I am the store manager at East Sunrise location for TD Bank. And today I'm going to be giving you some financial tips on how to live day to day. So tip number 1, prepare, prepare, prepare. I would definitely say preparing, not just waiting for a financial crisis to happen to make sure you're prepared in finances, but you want to make sure that you know where the money's going, what's coming in, and what's also going out. Tip number 2, you want to also make sure that you save. I know save can sometimes be a cliche word that we're afraid to use, but save, save, save. It can be saving for retirement, saving for your home, but you always want to make sure you have that buffer just in case. Tip number 3, knowing why you're saving, understanding the why behind it, understanding the purpose to what am I saving for. And I think once you have a clear understanding of that purpose and that reason, it will drive you to make sure you save. And also, just to wrap up, if you're a mother, especially those single mothers out there, you want to make sure you teach your children the importance of saving. So that can be something small, just, having that separate account for them that comes with that debit card to allow them to understand the importance of saving, monitoring their account and what they spend on. Also teaching them the basics of that banking, getting that little piggy bank, putting change in there, and even separating for them and making them understand how money is spent and also how money is saved. So for more information regarding finances and just really how to get started or what to look for moving forward, you can definitely reach out to me. I am once again at the Fort Lauderdale Sunrise location at TD Bank. Stop by, get all the knowledge you need. I can definitely go ahead and put you in the right direction to start your savings off. Once again, whether you're wanting to save or just learn how to gain more from your savings, I can go ahead and give you more information on that. For more information, you can definitely visit tdbank.com, go straight to your store locator, and look for Fort Lauderdale Sunrise.